coming up.
Jim's always told me from the start of this, his cattle will do better on less feed and drier matter. I didn't believe it at first, but then pairs sitting right next to him in another pasture, same conditions, they look better. He's got something.
See how Lucky 7 Angus is helping ranchers increase their cow herd even in dry conditions. Next on The American Rancher. Hello, I'm Pam Minnick, and welcome to The American Rancher. Years ago, Lucky 7 Angus set out to create feed efficiency in beef cattle. The research and data have resulted in up to 50% increases in documented feed efficiency, making ranchers more profitable nationwide. These feed-efficient cattle are healthier, live longer, and are second to none for carcass quality. On today's show, we'll meet producers who were able to buck the system, increase their herd size and operations in the last 5 years. They've done this using Lucky 7 Angus genetics and are seeing real profits in today's incredible cattle cycle.
So if you look at the cattle industry today, you have to wonder, or I have to wonder, what caused this event where we are getting these great prices? Well, it's absolutely positive. It's supply and demand. The supply has gone down. The world would like you to believe that the droughts caused this, that it was environmental situations, that it was this and it was that to cause this. But if you look at the Lucky 7 Angus customers straight across the board throughout a nationwide map of where they live, they have increased their cattle herds 15% in the last 7 years, whereas the typical or the rest of the industry has lost 25% in the exact same map. So that leads me to believe that maybe it wasn't the drought, maybe it was the genetics.
What I believe is happening right now is we've got what I call them mongrel cattle. These cattle that we have today are created for the packer and the feedlot to make money. According to Dr. Leilman of Oklahoma State University, 74% of the calories to take and make 1 pound of beef come at the maternal level on the ranch. Yet we're breeding for the 16% that comes on the feedlot level. And we wonder how come nobody can keep a cow on the ranch.
Did we screw up the cow herd?
As an industry, yes. And, 10 years ago when we met, and my wife and I made the decision to switch completely over to your bulls, you were saying then that I want to make my customers profitable. I mean, that was your goal. That still is your goal. And in 10 years' time of strictly buying your bulls, retaining our own females, it's been a huge part of the ability for us to grow. And the cattle absolutely have performed way better than they did 10 years ago.
In the feedlot industry, they're called lodgers now, where they can't get up in the feedlot. Exactly the same thing, because they created these cattle that do nothing but have performance in them if you feed them enough. And then now we have these problems. And what you've done is you've totally taken away from the profitability of the rancher just so you could make the feedlot and the packer more money.
Well, it's like anything. I mean, you lose, 15% of your frickin' herd in the feedlot. You just lost your ass.
Yeah, and so the death loss in the feedlot's higher than it's ever been. The sickness is higher. The cows are living less. According to the Angus Association, since 2014, our weaning weights have barely went up, but our mature cow size has gone up. Our longevity in our cows has gone down. Breed up has gone down. Everything's gone up except
Not in my
the mature.
cows.
Not in your cows, because they're different.
So how much more valuable is it to have a cow that gets bred, a cow that has a calf, a cow that has longevity, she lives 9 to 13 years instead of 5 to 6, the feed efficiency, and then we get less sickness and death loss because of our high elevation pap testing and the work we do there. Which one do you think is going to make the most money?
Well, my wife and I decided 10 years ago that we had to make decisions that we felt was best at home. I mean, on variables that we could control. There's too many variables that are uncontrollable. And so that's why we went in your direction, and it's just paid dividends doing that.
The reason the Lucky Seven Angus customers are so successful and have increased their herds is because the philosophy around Lucky Seven Angus is the cows have to get bred up. That's why you hear the testimonies of these cattle getting bred up at 98, 99%. They have to have a live calf. They have to wean a live calf. We lead the industry in this area because of our high elevation pap testing and the way we've put our cattle in the environmental survival of the fittest modes to where these cattle are more rugged than any other. And then they have to be feed efficient. If you can do those things, you can put every EPD, you can put every genetic test in the world together, and you can't beat those scenarios.
Jim's always told me from the start of this, his cattle will do better on less feed and drier matter. And I didn't believe it at first. I thought he was just pushing them hard, but I run a bunch of his pairs up here also, and they do really good also on the drier feed and less feed. Then pairs sitting right next to him in another pasture, same conditions, they look better. He's got something.
And not only that, but we're not losing any ground on the feedlot and the packers. We're dominating in the feedlots for profitability, and we're going 100% choice and better in the packing houses. We were on that tour last year with the guys from the UK, and they wanted to see the 44 Farms cattle. And then they seen our cattle in the exact same conditions with every single thing the exact same. They were 28% below in 4 different feedlots, the rest of the cattle. We were 15% above. We're beating 44 Farms by 43% in the feedlot level.
After the break,
2020 was the worst drought we've had since 2012, and we weaned 670-pound calves.
find out how Lucky Seven Angus customers increased their herds while the rest of the industry were forced to decrease. That story when The American Rancher continues. Stay with us. Welcome back to The American Rancher. Compared to other proteins, the beef industry is decades behind in feed efficiency, but Lucky Seven Angus beef cattle are already there. Their investments into feed intake research are not just proving that Lucky Seven cattle are feed efficient, they demonstrate other important economic benefits as well.
My name's Steve Stadahar. I'm a manager for our Riverton facility. We've been adding on to this facility this summer. We're going to have 3 separate pens to test 150 animals for intakes. Behind me here is another building that we are building an indoor working facility so that when we're AI and testing bulls, anything we need to do at shoot, we're going to have an indoor facility in the cold months of the year. But our new system that we're so excited about, it's a RIC2 Discover system based out of the Netherlands. It's state of the art, and what we've been using is the Vitelli GrowSafe system. Been doing that for about 15 years. Their system has a few holes. We decided it's time we update. We need to be as scientific as we can in testing our animals, as accurate as we can get them. I mean, that's your accuracies are only as good as your weakest link. And in 15 years, Vitelli has not changed in that aspect. So they're using the same system, the same data that they have 15 years ago. It's not just all sensors and wires. It's not. And most people think they've spent all this money, we're testing all this, it's got to be good, right? Well, that's not always the case. We're truly trying to build a better animal. We pick our genetics from this test data. We're not just trying to sell them. We want the very best so that we can improve our herd every year. every year goes by, you better improve or you're going backwards. We've been at this long enough that we're pretty fluent with the system and we understand how it works, and it's just time to upgrade them.
So if you look at these systems, you can see that they could kick feed out, but if you feed it over here, anything above that level is not going to be recorded. And according to their system, 88% is accurate. So if it's the same bulls that are kicking it out and it stays above 88%, which our data is at 98% because we know how to feed it right, but the rest of the data is not accurate. And you'll see feed everywhere where they kick it out, and that feed's never accounted for. So how can this be completely and totally accurate? We've made it accurate to a 98% deal.
My wife and I ranch here at Casey, Wyoming, and we've been buying Lucky Seven bulls exclusively for 10 years now. We were drawn to them because I was looking for tough performing bulls that were maternal, and we just felt like that was the direction we wanted to go for a long-term goal. We've got a lot of influence in this herd now in retaining our own females, and they are just like Jim said they'd be, considerably more efficient, and it's been a big benefit, yeah.
We live in drought country and it's grass country. Any feed that we feed extra, any supplements, we have to pay for that and we have to have it trucked in. That's a huge cost. But we have the grass. And so if we can make them thrive on the grass, keeps our costs way down.
How would you compare these bulls to bulls that you had in the past as far as how they can do on grass, the genetics?
We felt really lucky if we could have a bull, if we had bulls that lasted 4 years. And now we're surprised if they don't last 5. We sell bulls mainly to keep the bloodlines fresh, as opposed to we wore out a bull. And we just worked cows today. It wasn't the Lucky Seven Angus bulls that were lame. We don't worry about feed on those bulls at all, which is a big deal here. But when Gordon and I first took this over, you were looking at a half a ton of hay to get a cow through the winter. And I don't even know the numbers, but we're running 450 head of cows. I'm going to buy 3 loads of hay, less than 100 ton of hay for 450 cows for the winter. People don't believe that, but that's what we do. And most of the time we have most of that left over.
We run 20% more cattle than what was ever run on this place. We graze them longer into the fall and winter. In the time period that we do feed some hay, they easily consume 25 to 30% less hay than in 10 years ago.
Your cellum is preconditioned 800-900 pound feeder steers.
Right.
Gotcha. And so where are you feeding them at?
Bill Klein's in Wheatland, Wyoming.
Are they dominating everything over there? Or
Yeah.
Easily, huh?
Lucky Seven has grown to where there's enough feeders that know what they are, and then down to just personally the buyers that have had ours, we definitely have more bidders than we ever used to when we take our calves to the sale.
We've gone through droughts, hellacious winters.
But the rest of the world is having to sell cattle during the drought.
Mm-hmm.
Or something.
Yeah, but we didn't. I don't know if we had 2 inches of rain all summer. Mm-hmm. And our cows are just as fleshy and look good as if they'd have been on great grass all year.
We run about 735 cows and calves every year. Graze about 30,000 acres with all those. We have really made a push to get into more Lucky Seven genetics based on the feed efficiency aspect of everything. We feel we can run more cattle on less acreage, we can gain more, and we can sell a tremendous set of calves every year that are very feed efficient and will go to the feedlot, go to buyers, and do everything they want them to do. 2020 was the worst drought we've had since 2012, and we weaned some of the heaviest calves we've ever weaned that year. We weaned 670-pound calves. pretty easily. And we really didn't abuse the place that bad that year. I mean, our cattle ate what they needed, but we didn't just destroy the place, because I think they were getting what they needed, and we retained every one of them through the whole thing. Adams Land and Cattle Company, they've bought them for 3 years now, run a huge operation. And if they were not performing at that next feedlot level, they wouldn't be back buying them. We were at the top we topped the CCV sale in September. We got almost 20 cents higher than anybody there on 735 pound calves. I've got competitors and I've seen their stuff and we blow them out of the water. So I know from a genetic standpoint, the cattle will finish. I know they'll grade very close to prime, if not prime, and we've done it consistently.
If you would have had a 500 cow ranch 10 years ago, using the Lucky Seven customers versus what the rest of the industry's done, Lucky Seven Angus customers have increased their cow herd by 15%. The rest of the world has decreased theirs by 25%. So now that 500 cow herd would be 600 head for the Lucky Seven, 400 for the typical herd, times $1,700, which is the profit right now today that these guys are making, would make $1 million for the Lucky Seven customers. Or 400 head times the 500 that they're making would make them $200,000 a year, which is still a lot of money, but it's not in a bad year. So to make it simple, the Lucky Seven Angus customers are a buyer of land, and the rest of the people are sellers. You can either be a buyer or a seller. It's your choice.
Up next.
The higher in elevation that we do the pap test, the more accurate it is. So at this elevation, we're approaching like 95% accuracy level.
See how Lucky Seven Angus uses technology to create all-around superior beef cattle when the American Rancher continues. Stay with us. Welcome back to the American Rancher. Lucky Seven Angus develops cattle that are feed efficient and all-around superior performers. Their proven feed efficiency and technology partnerships in real-world conditions help their customers rise above the ever-increasing challenges that are facing today's beef industry.
And right now we've got somewhere 38% or plus more feed efficiency, so we can have 38% higher stocking rates. But can we utilize the grasses in a management system to where we can even improve that? The only way we can do that with a cost-effective way would be to use this virtual fence system, which would be halter. So as we were researching this, we believe that the halter company is best in class today. And this year we're going to put on 1,200 of these collars, and we're going to give it a test. We've done enough research that we're pretty positive it's going to work. We believe our goal in mind will be to double the carrying capacity that we were in 10 years ago on the same exact ranch.
I like the way you frame that, Jim. I think the ability to work with cows that are right at the top of the game in terms of feed efficiency, and a team that knows how to and has a vision for what they want to do from a grazing management side, combining that vision with a tool to enable that change, super exciting.
Dr. Tim Holt, the nation's leading authority on pulmonary arterial pressure testing, has been pap testing Lucky Seven Angus cattle for more than 25 years. Not only have they had a huge impact for their high elevation customers, but there is a significant reduction to death loss due to right heart failure at the feedlot as well.
Not thinking about elevation or anything, we're just thinking about the scores no matter what. And then we have to talk about how they affected elevation. But in an ideal world, things that are 41 and under have a pretty high accuracy level of being resistant to the effects of hypoxia. So we're looking at things at 41 and under. 30, anything in the 30 is a really good score. And hold it, click it, I got it. That almost got it. 39, 67 over 6. And so we're trying to find or genetically select bulls or cows or whatever to put into a herd to make it resistant to the effects of altitude. The higher in elevation that we do the pap test, the more accurate it is. So at this elevation, we're approaching like 95% accuracy level.
This ranch was established in 1895 as my great-grandpa James Jensen came from Denmark and settled this valley. Kind of a daunting task to come to one of the toughest places in the world to make a living in the cattle industry, and also known as the icebox of the nation. 35 years ago, we ran 300 head of cows on this ranch. Today, Lucky Seven Angus runs over 2,000 head of cattle. We were able to do this by becoming the #1 program in the world for feed efficiency, the #1 program in the world for pap tests and high elevation, which creates more durable, less sickness, longer lasting cattle. We were able to increase our carrying capacity. We've purchased over 2,330 acres in Boulder, Wyoming alone in the last 10 years. It's just been amazing how much we're increasing when everybody else seems like they're decreasing.
I've got a degree in animal science from Michigan State University, and so, all of this was really super exciting stuff. What is truly remarkable is that every single customer has stated the same thing. All of the points that Jim had talked about, each one of these customers repeated in their own way that they've seen in their operations. Because of all of these benefits, they're able to keep more cows, expand their herds, and buy more land, expand their ranching operations. Everything that Jim had told me is absolutely true.
To find out how Lucky Seven Angus changed the genetic base to create these cattle, visit LuckySevenAngus.com or go visit them anytime. And to find out more about us, visit our website, theamericanrancher.com, or connect with us on Facebook or YouTube. I'm Pam Minnick. For our entire American Rancher team, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.